Hey world, it's your host Marshall. Thanks for tuning into my podcast, Run On Thoughts. Here we talk about everything and nothing because we are not afraid to be all of ourselves even as we evolve. And that's my thought for my fellow thought thinkers as we unpack our traumas, past hurts, and other BS. Y'all ready? Let's go. Hey, thought thinkers, I'm back at it again and excited to be here for another episode of Run On Thoughts. Those of you who are listening to for the very first time, I welcome you to go to runONthoughts.com and listen from there or listen from your favorite streaming service, which I hope that's what you're doing right now. Before we begin, I want to say thank you, and stand in a place of gratitude for anyone that is listening for the very first time, and those of you who have been on this journey with me from the very beginning. It is a beautiful Sunday morning, and I can still hear the birds chirping. And although I am not a nature bug, I am in love with the idea of life and living and being able to live a life that I can appreciate and that I am happy in and that brings me joy. And that is what I want for all of my thought thinkers. I want you to be at peace with yourself. So in today's episode 108, asking for help. I know it sounds simple and seems like an easy thing to do, but there are so many of us trapped in our own thoughts, trapped in our own demise, trapped in our own feelings of inadequacy or feeling that we have to do it all by ourselves. And essentially, that keeps us from living a full life. Today's episode was inspired by a conversation that I had with my sister Karen. And the truth is, we talk about so many different things and so many different people, right? And we don't usually talk about people. I'm not a fan of talking about people, but I do like to dissect the behaviors of people and figure out from whence it comes, right? She has a family member who was in an accident and they are feeling upset about not being able to be independent. And I'm trying to figure out, where the fuck does that come from? Why are there so many people who feel like they have to be independent? Why are there so many people who feel bad because they can't do it all? And then the question becomes, all what? What is the all that so many people are trying to do, and why do they feel this way? Why does it make you feel helpless? I've thought about this. I know for many people, it's human behavior. Why do you feel this way? And one of the things I came up with, well, truthfully, my sister said, people will let you down. And you want to know what's crazy about the idea that people will let you down? I am here to tell you that you will also let yourself down. Why? Because you are a human being. You are not perfect at all. And we are not made to be independent. Some of us have abandonment issues. You know how I feel about abandonment issues. Stop owning what others have done to you. Who abandoned you has issues. You don't have issues. Stop wearing the badge of other people's shit. Abandonment issues, daddy issues, feeling handicapped, whatever it may be. Learn to live in the experience of what is going on in your life at that moment and what is it trying to teach you. The number of people who have no idea, my new favorite word, of how to curate the life you want and how to curate a village. The number of you who don't even know how to curate a village is crazy to me. You're so busy thinking that you wear a badge of honor for doing it all yourself. And then you're wondering why you're struggling. You're wondering why you're struggling. And while I was thinking about this podcast title, I ran across a new concept for me, right? Because I'm trying to share full concepts with you guys. And one of those concepts is called the Dunning-Kruger effect. What is it? It's a cognitive bias where individuals with low ability or knowledge in a particular area tend to overestimate their competence. Essentially, they don't have enough expertise to recognize that they don't have enough expertise. It was that last part that got me. And I wanted to share that with you guys. Many of us think we know more than we know because we know a little bit. And it is not until you know more that you understand that when you thought you knew more, you didn't know shit. And that is the goal of my podcast and sharing, right? Even me, sometimes I will do a podcast over because I have more information. And when you have more information, it creates a higher sense of peace and understanding, and you are able to break down things better and faster. And you shouldn't be ashamed about learning. No one should ever be ashamed about the freaking learning process. That's why in this episode of Asking for Help, I want to explore the intersection of self-awareness, confidence, and vulnerability. Vulnerability is a motherfucker. So many of us think that we got to be tough, right? I want to explore this Dunning-Kruger effect. It's a new concept for me as well, but I understand the definition, right? Usually people get together. I'm sure it's a psychologist, another psychologist, and they get together and they come up with the name and they explore people and come up with the concept of shared behavior, things that we know, but people usually come up with the concept or information based on things that most of us are already going through, right? And then we all get credit for sharing the human experience and compiling it into easy to digest thoughts and experiences, right? But there's an emotional side of not being able to ask for help, right? Many people asking for help isn't just about overcoming some mental barrier. It is deeply tied to past experiences. Remember, I keep telling you guys, childhood is important. The things that you go through when you are a child, the things that you see and feel and perceive, those things shape who you are in this moment. When people have been let down or ignored in the past, their willingness to reach out for support diminishes. Why? Why is it so hard to trust others to help when you've been disappointed? How does this emotional baggage influence our behavior and decision making? Let's unpack this. It's simple. The answers were even in the questions. Say you're a young man, and I try not to mansplain because I do not like when men women-splain, correct? But say you're a young man whose father wasn't there for you. And you may have had a loving mother, but every weekend your father says he's coming. And every weekend you're sitting on the steps. And true enough, this can be true for a girl child, but he never shows up. And it can be true of your mother. Every time she says she's going to do something for you, she never comes through or follows through or shows up. And this begins to harden your heart. And you begin to feel isolated in your needs and let down. And you begin to feel like only you can serve you. And you begin to feel like a burden. And for many people, when they feel like a burden, they do not want to be a burden for other people, which is why it is so important to curate the village that you want. Isn't that crazy? I've been here. I have truly been here, because you guys know that I used to feel like I had abandonment issues, right? Because I didn't have the mother and or father that I believe should have been there the way that I thought that they should have been there. And as a young woman, that created a sense of not belonging. Feeling like the very people who are supposed to be there for you, if those people are not there for you, then therefore you must not be worthy of help, of love, of time. So you begin to have an internal experience where you feel like you can only rely on yourself. And although I am better at asking for help, I recognize that I am uber independent. And I recognize that it is not all healthy. And I recognize that I would rather do things by myself, for myself. And I tell myself that I do it because I want it done my way, which is the truth. I want it done my way. And I often believe that people can't do it my way. And therefore, to avoid rejection or disappointment, I would rather do the thing myself. But that's not healthy, because we are not designed to be independent. We are not designed to work alone. We are not designed for this. It doesn't make you helpless because you need help. It makes you a human being. You know how many people believe that if you don't need others, often you think that others don't need you? You know how many independent people are selfish, right? You're so busy taking care of yourself that you can't see what other people need, or even see that other people want to be there for you. Because the job of taking care of yourself is a lot of work. And the job of doing even that which you know you cannot do, right? Or the job of believing that you can do more, is crazy to me. And I don't want this for you guys. I have thought about this concept, right? When I was studying this Dunning-Kruger effect, they were talking about how a person who plays the piano learns how to play the piano. They think that they are a good piano player, right? Until they get around a good piano player. And if you're humble and vulnerable, you will realize that you're not that great at playing the piano and that you want to do more. And that's okay. It's okay to not know, but what am I trying to say? It's the not knowing that you don't know and thinking you know it all. And for many of us, that is why we are suffering. So how do you curate a village if you are so busy doing it alone? The number of you who think that you are alone. The number of you who think that no one is there for you. The number of us who believe that nobody is there for me. I don't have a team. What if it's you? What if it's your belief that you have to do it all by yourself and you have isolated, you have not surrounded yourself with a village, or you have a village that you can rely on, but you consciously push them away because you believe that you should be doing it all by yourself. You don't even recognize your own limitations. Or you're just too proud to admit that you need support. There's nothing wrong with needing support. There is nothing wrong with unpacking your emotional needs, your physical needs, and coming up with strategies for overcoming these barriers that hold you back and actually slow you down. You are slowing yourself down. And it is essentially making it so that you cannot live a healthy and more prosperous life, right? Because sometimes when you only have your way, what you don't have is another way. But if you rely on the village and other people's intellect and other people's strength and other people's ideas and other people's purpose, because see, this is one of the reasons why I do not believe in perfection. One of the reasons why I do not believe in perfection is because perfection means that you can do it all. And that's not true. And perfection makes you arrogant, like Satan. We are designed to need a village. We are designed to exist in community. We are designed to need others and for others to need us. All of the reasons why people are feeling lonely is because of this increased idea of individualism. And yes, it is important to take care of yourself, but not specifically for yourself. It is important to take care of yourself so that you can be healthy and vulnerable and be of service to others and allow others to be of service to you so that the community can grow. Are you getting that? So that the community can grow. Isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy? Your lack of knowledge breeds overconfidence, which is why you're struggling, believing that you're all alone. So you attempt to do something that you know good and goddamn well you can't do, but you try to do it anyway and you fall. And you fall physically and mentally because you thought that you don't have others and because you lack the ability, you lack the knowledge, you lack the expertise, often the identity, you cannot identify your own deficiencies. That's some crazy shit to me. Are you living in Delulu? Because I'm having a hard time that people don't know that they don't know. I believe it's blinders, and I believe that you're trying to push through anyway. Does that make sense? You're trying to push through anyway and prove yourself to yourself and prove yourself to other people and prove yourself to your father who wasn't there and prove yourself to that boss who said that you couldn't do it or prove yourself to that man or woman or friend who wasn't there for you. You're going to make everybody pay by hurting yourself. Wow. And the crazy thing is that knowing that you need help gives you humility. It makes you understand that we are all one, right? Because when you know that you need help, when you know that you need more knowledge, it essentially creates a place for you to be. Just be. Be aware. Be seen. You're aware of your limits. And you understand that there are different confidence levels. You understand that you need people. Ask for freaking help, people. Ask for help. Ask for help. How do you ask for help? Well, first of all, you have to challenge your own beliefs about asking for help. Unpack it. Why do you believe that you don't need help? Where does it stem from? This believing that you should be able to do this on my own? Or that asking for help makes you weak? You need to reframe. I keep telling people how you talk to yourself is one of the greatest conversations that you will ever have. You got to reframe your thoughts. Every time you are having a negative thought, you got to check yourself fast. You got to recognize that asking for help is a sign of strength. It is not a weakness. It can't be a weakness, especially when the reason why you're not asking for help is because you are afraid to ask for help. You are afraid to be let down. So isn't that a weakness? You see what I'm saying there? Asking for help proves that you are self-aware and that you have a willingness to grow and to cultivate this village that needs you and that you need. You need to remind yourself, everybody needs help. Everybody needs help at some point in their life. It is not a reflection of your inadequacy. It is a natural part of being human. Thought thinkers, do you understand me? Give yourself grace and space to be human. Stop feeling intimidated about asking for help. All right, start small. And if you start small with small requests and build confidence, but this will also help you to curate the village that you really want. Because if there really are people in your village, right, that are not reaping and sowing good for each other, then excommunicate them from your life. You got all these people in your life and you're trying to tell me that none of them do shit. So why are they in your life to begin with? Get rid of them. Because guess what? You may not have been able to choose the people who were in your life as a child, but as an adult, hear me clearly. As an adult, you get to choose who is in your life. You get to choose your family. It doesn't have to be blood. You get to make and design and curate the life and the family you want. And that's on that. And a strong foundation and a strong village and knowing that you can rely on people will help you feel more confident about going out into the world to do new things. It will help you to be and feel like a part of something bigger than yourself. Because when I think about my village, and when I think about the fact that I have often been told that I am not vulnerable, I am vulnerable. I am vulnerable enough to know that it is important to curate the life I want. I am vulnerable enough to curate the people that I want in my life. I am vulnerable enough to know that I get to choose who's in, choose who's out, choose who I wish to sow into, choose how I wish to reap from the village that I have sowed into. I am vulnerable. And that vulnerability is a strength. I am strong enough to know that I am vulnerable, and that vulnerability is how I have curated the life, the people, the village, the ideas, the concepts, the trust, the soft place to fall that I have curated for myself. That is emotional courage. I tell you guys that I'm afraid of everything, but I have courage. Because without fear, what is courage? I have courage. I recognize my vulnerability. I recognize that vulnerability deepens relationships, because when you are just depending on yourself, how do you build a safe space? How do you know whose arms you can cry into? You start small and it builds. All these people talking about they don't have friends is because you want the final layer of friendship, but you don't want to go through the trenches and the levels of what it took to get there in a friendship, in a relationship, at work, in anything that you need to do for yourself. You don't want to do the work, and yet you want to be at the top, and then wonder how, even if you are at the top, you are lonely because you tried to do it all by yourself. Instead of inviting people to contribute to your well-being, right? And understanding, here's something, and understanding that the real value, oh my God, that the real value is in the process. I'm tired of talking to you guys. Bye.